What is your definition of a psychic? Like, how do you define yourself as a psychic?
I'm stumped. Well, if you had asked me that maybe 20 years ago, I would say a psychic is somebody who smoke and mirrors, somebody who illusion, try to get things out of people, gypsy hat, crystal ball, you know.
A lot of people associate psychics with illusions and smoke and mirrors. For many people, when you say psychic, they see a machine in a dark corner of the arcade or a woman in drapey clothing staring into a crystal ball. However, most psychics are just normal people, and they most likely do not own a crystal ball. What most people don't know is that being psychic is actually a very spiritual experience, and most of them believe that they receive their abilities from a higher power. This is Cathy. She comes from a normal family and lives a normal life for the most part. The only difference is she's psychic.
Yeah, pre-psychic growing up, I had a large family. There was my mom and dad, and I have 3 sisters, and we had a cat. And my sisters the eldest is 5 years older than older than me, and she thinks she's psychic. She's gonna see this, isn't she? She's kind of psychic. My sister cut that out of that. My sister Tracy was very psychic, like scary psychic growing up. Like I didn't know what that meant because I was younger. And my sister Renee is like, she has a gift, like they all do. They all just do it differently. My mother thought she had the gift. My dad really had the gift and denied the gift. So I have a long lineage of family. My grandmother read tea leaves. My grandma Sue, I think, read cards, you know. But my father was Roman Catholic. My mother was Greek Orthodox. And then growing up, we all had different faiths. I didn't have any faith. I didn't anything. I was very I just wanted to have fun. Everybody did their own thing. And I was like, all I cared about was just having fun, having a good time. It changed when I was 15. And my sister Tracy was reading cards. So if she was 15, I was like 10, maybe 11 years old. And I remember her putting out cards and she was reading them. And I went up and I was like, oh, you're going to get a fight in school. And I just said it like that. You're going to get a fight in school. That doesn't look too good. And she's like, what are you talking about? And yeah, she was 15 when she was reading cards. I was 11. And then she said, hold on a minute. And she was like, what does this card mean? What does that card mean? And I remember having these conversations. So through the next, few years, it was like I was just fooling around with Tracy reading cards because I wanted to keep her company and I had no idea what I was doing. And then when I turned 15, she was older. She said, when I was 15, I started, and she gave me my first deck of cards. And that's when it started. So your dad is here. Your dad is still here. What's your dad's name? Who's Pete? Is it? Okay, I'm going to write this down. He's important. He's not dead.
No.
But there's a Peter here.
Okay.
In
my world.
In your world, either a friend of a child, I want you to remember that. He's struggling. This Peter, P or a P?
Is it a live person?
It's a live person.
Okay.
It's a child.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
Sean's best friend, yeah.
Get to look at the camera when I do that? Because I still am surprised when I do that. Can I just tell you, I've been doing this for a long time. I still get surprised. I didn't know how I learned how to do these things. I was never really taught to do them. And I remember sitting in my bed, closing my eyes and asking questions. And I remember my head just going yes or no. Like I can answer these questions and I didn't know if it was me or not. Like I was just making this game like, I wonder if I can answer my own questions. But I just felt like something came over me. And I kept that very personal and quiet. And I think that's when I knew I had a guide. And I talked to my sister about it. And of course she was into the occult. So she kind of educated me and she was like, oh, you have a guide. And I said, what is a guide? I don't have a guide. I have to go to school. I'm just now freaked out. So I just let it go. And I remember my first experience was with Tracy. And I happened to be in the room and it was pretty, I can't even get into it in this conversation, but it made me really understand that there was so much more to me. And a lot of the questions I had about myself growing up and why I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I knew I was different. I knew things before they happened. I had dreams that I could translate. I felt like really I could relate to people differently than other people could. And I was always, all like special needs people always, drew to me. People in need always drew to me. It was like, the darkness goes into the light. And it was overwhelming, but I've had some really amazing miracle things happen. And so because I was so open to everything, all of a sudden I just could feel everything. So no matter what you walk, you can believe in David, you could believe in Moses and Jesus, whatever you can believe in. You can believe in the rocks, you can believe in the earth, and you could be a deist or whatever. I can relate to you. And I think I know my purpose is so I can work with any person, any circumstance, and get them to their best, their whole, because I experienced it. And that's what I think when you asked me in the beginning, what is psychic? Well, I think a psychic is somebody who should just know that psychic means it all. Like just knowing that you can be open to feel others to get them where they need to be. So Edward is with you, which is interesting because I feel like he's an uncle. Like there's an uncle. Who is your uncle?
I didn't know him, but yeah, it was my father who passed away, his brother who also passed away.
What was his name?
Ed. Uncle Ed, yeah.
But can I look at the mirror? Can I do this now? My ability came out from a violent episode. I had a near-death experience. And people who have near-death experiences, there's a group of us. There's a group of people. It's like something that you have in common with people. A lot of us, and I say us, what ends up happening is that you have experiences that you can't explain. Well, I saw some things that I know was real, and I wanted to know why I could see things, when that happened. And so that's when I knew that I really had the gift of sight and premonition. And I have the gift of seeing people's spirit. I have the gift of seeing their direction and the inside of their body, like their soul, and even inside their body. I have the ability to dream, and dream about people, and I'm able to get in touch with people in their dreams, astral plane. I can do a lot of things that I really didn't want to do, but I learned that's, I guess, my purpose is that's how I'm going to help people. Does your mom pass? Is she how is your mom doing?
I am kind of at this point, I almost feel I can almost get vibrations from people.
Okay.
And I feel she's shrinking.
Okay. She's actually doing reflection. You may not think that, but she's doing her reflection.
She's better than she used to be.
She's really looking.
I didn't realize how depressed she was until she wasn't. So
well, now,
depressed,
because you're the brightest before you transcend. You're the brightest, and she is her trauma.
I know.
Her trauma breaks my heart, and there's no excuse how people treat other people. But if we start looking at pain-based behaviors instead of focusing on what they've done to, but we can rationalize it, I think it's better. And I think that there's gonna be some serious healing. Be open to that for forgiveness and love.
Okay.
I'm so proud of you. And here's the world we were talking about in your hands, and you're living in the moment. You're doing exactly what you're doing. Just go, just do it, and just don't settle.
People come to Cathy every week with questions on finance, spirituality, life decisions, relationships. The list goes on. One of the big stereotypes surrounding psychics is their vagueness and undoubtedly their outlandish personas. Cathy, however, is very specific and has the ability to empathize with her clients, which is one of the main reasons why people confide in her. Newcomers are often surprised, and sometimes scared, of how specific Cathy can get. During sessions, Cathy can name names, interpret conflicts, and offer advice on spirituality and healing. Although they don't know exactly how Cathy knows all these things, most clients trust Cathy's powers because of how personal the sessions become.
So I think, she doesn't ask me questions. Well, maybe she asks one or two, but she asks very few questions. And she just talks, and she kind of hits everything the nail on the head. So it's kind of, there's no doubt in my mind she's getting messages from somewhere that are true. And that's kind of mind-blowing every time it happens.
I found it very interesting because she spoke of things that were my beliefs, things about what I feel deep down that I don't think I was even expressing to anybody that, downstairs or my friends or whatever. But she reached that and then got into more specific things. So the fact that she knew those kind of things, that made me feel that she did feel what was around me, or what, just kind of what I made up of before even getting to specifics.
I guess she's the only psychic I've ever known, but I don't know, because the ones you see on TV, they do a lot of deep breathing and they close their eyes, and Cathy doesn't do any of that. So
the stereotype that's in your head of someone just kind of throwing random things at you, and you interpret them yourselves as something that is specific to you, and I've experienced that. I'm like, okay, maybe I can interpret that general thing to mean this, but she was very specific.
Yeah.
And it was not me saying a lot of this is my whole life, and then her coming up with answers. It was the opposite. So it was interesting with that.
The world is so beautiful. Makes me cry. I want to cry. I think because you see things that others just can't yet. So I see very beautiful things, and I choose to see beautiful things. And so how can I not be so grateful and be happy? And another beautiful thing about it is I can see your beauty and see your future where you may be afraid, but I know it's good. So that makes me happy.